we got a special episode today for you guys with a full President's Cup preview ahead of Wednesday's start. We'll get into the Patrick Reed controversy, obviously, at the Hero World Challenge this past weekend, our DFS picks, both last week and for the President's Cup, and we're going to cap it off with a short Part 3 segment. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Pin High Podcast presented by Golficity. I'm your host, Patrick, joined here by Trevor and Jeek. Let's get right into it with the President's Cup. We got it starting at 5:30 p.m. right in prime time on Wednesday. I'm pretty excited.
So am I. I mean, primetime golf, that's just a new thing for us, I believe.
So what time is that? I think it's, 13 hours in Australia?
I think it's 14.
14? So that's what time there? I'm bad at math.
9:30
7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m.
7:30 a.m. Wow, that's actually pretty early.
I mean, that's what golf is.
Yeah, I guess. But anyway, we got best ball on the first day, followed by alternate shot Thursday, double session Friday, and then we're capping it off with the 12 single matches on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So
single matches are always hype.
Yeah, the single match is a great way to cap it off. I remember watching I only watched the last day of the Ryder Cup last year because I don't know, I was really busy that weekend. But I remember just seeing who was it, Tommy Fleetwood, and who was his playing partner that just absolutely dominated that day.
Was it Poulter?
No, I don't. I don't know. I don't remember, but Fleetwood was just going off that day. And his celebration.
No, you know what it was? Molinari.
Oh, that's what it was. Molinari.
Yeah, Molinari. They were filthy in the Ryder Cup. They won everything. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was sick.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a disappointment for the U.S. though.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously, yeah.
Anytime the U.S. doesn't win, it's a disappointment at anything, at any level.
Especially if we lose to the Europeans. Or not the Europeans, the rest of the world, Australia and and the Chinese and the Koreans, that.
I mean, the U.S. Is favored at minus 270 right now, I think. So, if you're for betting at least, and a draw is actually plus 1,200, which is
very rare.
A draw. I would hate a draw. Imagine if it just you play all that golf and you draw.
And then you just share the President's Cup.
That would be so unsatisfying.
No, it would be. But that's the odds of that happening are so slim, especially because the U.S. team is so much better than the international team.
But yeah, some big storylines. We got Tiger becoming the captain. Obviously, one of the few playing captains that we've had during a cup event like this.
Indeed.
I mean,
not much more you could say about that.
It's it's just I think it's be weird him playing and being the captain. I don't know all the duties of being what being a captain are, but I think it's just gonna be I don't think he's gonna play as well because I think it's gonna be a lot on his plate. But
he's also the GOAT.
Yeah, well, he also is that doesn't.
I mean, well, you usually the captain's usually somebody who's not on the top of their game or somebody who's a little bit older, past their prime.
And now you're usually playing.
And now you just have, and that's why they're not going to usually play. But then you have Tiger, who has been winning events and being competitive for a while and is back pretty much, and he had to pick himself.
Yeah, but he had to pick himself. But I don't think he's gonna be playing as much as he normally would if it was Stricker or couples or
obviously. But do you really think that Tiger isn't gonna want to play as much?
Oh no. He'll try to play as much as he can, but he also I feel like he also wants to embrace the captain role too.
That's fair.
See what that's like, because when he agreed to be captain, he wasn't expecting to play. I don't think he was expecting to be almost done at this point. I feel like.
Right.
Yeah.
But whatever. So when he is playing, he has to pick one of the assistants to be like the captain. Like I'm not even sure what the captain's like responsibilities are during the round. I mean, most of the time I've seen him just kind of like following the team, giving advice, stuff like that. But when he's playing like either Stricker or Couples or Zach Johnson has to be appointed the captain.
It's kind of electric that they just get like a nice trip to Australia just to be like a backup captain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
kind of like talk to the players.
They deserved it. I mean, they deserved it.
Oh yeah.
What was it? Stricker was he last year's? He wasn't last year's captain, right?
I think he was at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
That's right.
What I thought.
Yeah. I'll fact
quick
check
Google search there.
Yeah, it was Stricker. It was Steve Stricker last year.
I liked
Actually,
Zach Johnson being in there.
Yeah. Okay. Wait, was it Steve Stricker? I don't even know now.
Well, I feel like we kind of got to know.
I'm looking at captain for next year now, so I don't even like. What was last year? 2018.
Yes.
2018
Yeah, my research needs to be a lot faster. It was Jim Furyk.
Furyk.
That's right.
It was Jim Furyk.
Tiger and
Stricker were vice captain. They were vice captains. Tiger and Stricker. But it was Jim Furyk. Now, going into not that we're kind of far away from 2020 Ryder Cup, but it's going to be Stricker, and right now Jim Furyk's the vice captain. So
Stricker's the captain next year.
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of like maybe even Tiger plays in like little matches and then gives Stricker the captain role when he's playing the matches because maybe Stricker wants to prepare for next year in the Ryder Cup.
Exactly. I mean, he's a fine captain anyway. So
yeah, he'll do like. Again, like we don't know how much.
Like I said, I'm not really sure exactly what the captain does during matches besides like give advice and follow around because you can't really make switches or anything like that. So
right, there's not like a ton of. I mean, there's strategy, but
it's not a lot.
There's not strategy once you have your team out there.
Well, from what everyone knows, it's like you just basically just pick the lineup of people that are best paired with each other.
I mean, like yes, there's gonna be a ton of like strategic moves he's gonna have to make. Obviously, like they have a ton of issues, even though they have more talent than the rest of the world. But
100%.
Kep is not playing. DJ is pretty hurt. He's still recovering from knee surgery. There's this Reed controversy now that he has to deal with. I mean,
we'll get into.
Do we want to get into that?
I think. Sure. I think it's a whole. I think it'll be a storyline for the whole week, pretty much. Like all that we talking about is just Patrick Reed. Like
so, if you don't know already, I'm assuming you do. Patrick Reed, back at it again. Although, here's my take on it. I'll explain it first. On the par 5 11th at the Hero World Challenge, he was basically in one of those waste areas, and twice the camera caught him kind of moving sand away from his ball. But at the same time, I feel like the camera. He blamed it on the camera angle just being kind of deceptive. At the same time, this is Patrick Reed. You don't give yourself the benefit of the doubt when you have a reputation like him.
I'll say if anyone else, like especially because it's him and he blamed the camera angle for making it look worse. That just comes off as like, okay, you're just trying to make an excuse of like what like
that just made it worse.
It doesn't it makes it so much worse. Like all I have to do is say like didn't mean to do it. It wasn't like I intend to do anything and like move on. But because he's making an excuse for it, I feel like it makes it a lot worse.
I read an article and it says that like obviously there's the Rory McIlroy saying it's not that big of a deal for if it's not Patrick Reed. That just kind of goes to what I said. Like you're giving yourself that reputation. Like
exactly,
you can't be doing things like this. But I also saw something that said he was like being like a gentleman to the rules official, but his excuse was that the intent wasn't there. But it still didn't matter even if the intent wasn't there. Like it was against the rules.
Well, and that would have been fine if he said like, oh, the intent wasn't there, and like that's like all well and good. But the fact that he says like he's trying to say in the camera angle made it look worse. Like
yeah, he said both. I mean, he's just the guy does himself no favors.
It's gonna be a storyline this week, and I don't know if it's gonna affect his play. Honestly, like I don't think it will, but maybe it will. I don't know.
Well, I think just the crowds are just gonna be like all over him. Like everywhere he goes, people are gonna be screaming at him.
I feel like they would have been all over him either way. Like
Well,
he's
they
just
would have,
kind of
yeah.
being-
But like this is like of all weeks to do something like this, you're gonna do it before you go to the President's Cup.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
it's
it
not
was
the
just wanna go
Ryder
to
Cup, but
a-
it's the President's Cup still.
It was his third shot on the par 3, and he bogeyed anyway. So it's like, just there was no the risk reward there was not worth it because he ended up tripling that hole after like the penalty was imposed. And
Mhm.
but other than that, he like played great this past weekend.
Yeah, well, he finished like tie, like second, third.
He had a lead most of the way too.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, he did great. He was leading through two rounds, or at least no, he was leading through the first round, and I think he was tied with Gary after the second round.
Right.
So if we want to also mention what Cameron Smith said, who, I mean, that'd be kind of electric if they play each other this week.
Yeah.
He said, "That's a BS excuse. No sympathy. I have no sympathy for cheaters. Open the door for fans to jeer him next week. Hope crowd absolutely gives it to him and the team next week." So
I wonder if Cameron Smith's doing that knowing that the President's Cup is next week and that he's just trying to like start something.
Oh no,
I
he
feel
de-
like it might be.
I feel like he definitely is. Like that's
That was
like
a very strategic comment.
yeah. Well, I think it's like I think he's just trying to get he wants like what Adam Scott said earlier, like in the year he said he doesn't want the the Australian or international fans to cheer for US players. I feel like this will make the fans cheer for the US like a little bit less. Maybe not a ton less, but like definitely Patrick Reed less, and definitely like I feel like he wants to get the fans like on their side instead of the US side.
I feel like somebody who didn't really read up on it, on like the whole story, just automatically thinks that Patrick Reed is in the wrong, as you know, that's kind of fair. And they'll be kind of conflicted during the President's Cup. I don't think I'm being all that conflicted, considering we might or might not pick him for our DFS picks.
Tune in later for that.
Yeah, tune in later in the episode for those. But I don't know. I don't think it'll affect him that much. I feel like he kind of feeds off of this.
Yeah, I would say he kind of deals with it well, based off of like how he's played. Like I don't know, when he won the Masters and everything like that. But yeah,
it would be fun
he's one player who feeds off of this, I guess.
It'd be fun to see him paired up against Cameron Smith. That would be some great television.
Imagine if that was like the deciding match on Sunday, like in
the
match play.
singles match, him versus Cameron Smith.
Dude, the world, you gotta love a good villain, especially when he's on your own team.
Facts.
Would you be rooting for Patrick Reed there? I mean, you'd have to be.
You have to be.
I guess.
Decide it.
Yeah, I guess you.
I would.
For him. I would hate it at the same
team
time.
Reed. I would kind of love that.
I mean, there's only a couple events where you could root, or like a couple situations where you could root for him if like you're a Patrick Reed hater. One, you gambled on him. Two, it's a U.S. team event, and like that's just about it.
That is it.
I
Yeah.
feel like all these like golf fan hardos who just like live for the respect and integrity of the game, just like throwing it in their face, and Patrick Reed just like dunking on them, winning the U.S. the President's Cup would just be a great storyline.
No, it definitely would. Everyone's shitting on him going to the week, and then he's the one who gets the deciding point. He's the one who goes crazy. Well, that's what it was like when he was in Hazeltine in 2016 at the Ryder Cup. He was not. I guess it wasn't like not everyone hated him as much, I guess, but like he was the guy, and like everyone was expecting to be the guy last year, even though people did not like him last year too.
It's definitely become more mainstream, like to hate Patrick Reed since then.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not gonna say I'm coming around on him, but I'm deciding to hate him less for now.
For this 1 week, I think.
For this week.
Yeah.
I mean, we also kind of gambled on him last week, so like you couldn't like totally hate him last week, but still.
But also, why like of all times to have this happen to him, like this is like the worst possible week.
I mean, it's just classic P. Reed.
Yeah, it is. The one moment where in about like a couple days you're gonna be playing for the U.S. and everyone in the U.S. is gonna be cheering for you. Like you gave people a reason maybe not to cheer for you or not to go with you.
And we also had
classic Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed. We're talking about him. He didn't even win the tournament. But we had Henrik Stenson coming in at 18 under. That last round was like, I don't know if you guys saw any of it, but I was watching on Saturday like afternoon. That last round was just like a whirlwind like of
Go
who
back
was
and
gonna win.
forth.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
had,
yeah,
you
yeah.
had John Rahm draining putts from like 50 feet, eagle putt. You had Tiger, who everybody rushed to their TVs because they thought he was gonna win, and then you have Henrik Stenson coming in with like his trusty 3-wood and just like playing consistent golf and
I mean,
beating
there
everybody
was
I
out.
love his 3-wood. He
which
hits it
hole? Which
so
hole was
far.
it? Was it 15 or 16 maybe, where he just like literally put one like 2 inches from the hole and like tap an
Yeah,
eagle?
for Albatross. Or
No,
no,
tap an eagle.
tap
Tap
and
an
eagle. My
eagle.
bad. Yeah, he hit it for Albatross. Yeah, almost an Albatross. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I
Yeah.
mean, like
that 3-wood and like that. I mean, he and that 3-wood have been together for like feels like forever. Like every single year I've watched.
I'm not sure what hole it was, but Tiger was in like that waist area, and that waist area was like just causing problems for everybody all week because there's like footprints and like dimples in it that like put the ball in like a really tough place.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one hole where the green was pretty narrow, and like he shot it over, then duffed his chip, and still got up and down for a bogey somehow, but he kind of fell apart down the stretch, which you're not really used to.
that
Tiger
causes
doing.
problems. That causes problems every year. As we said last week, like when we were making our picks, like you got to be accurate on this course, and that kind of just lost it for him when he wasn't accurate at the right time. So
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, he was pulling balls like into the waist area. Just it wasn't a great like back nine for him.
I think that's I think it's a good building block for this week though. If he's gonna like, if he played really well at some points, and now like he had a couple things he needs to work on. Now he's going to President's Cup where he can.
Yeah, and
work
that's the thing
well.
about match,
And
like
that-
about the Ryder's Cup, or sorry, President's Cup. You don't. It's like a different game. It's not stroke play, obviously. So it's like you don't have to be as locked in, like consistent. You can afford to have a bad hole, and like you can just move straight on to the next hole, which I feel like Tiger, if anyone is able to do the best.
I would say that's Tiger's like. He's like probably the best match play player ever.
Because I feel like
nothing
during
beats that.
during this comeback, it's always been like, say like Shinnecock at the U.S. Open, first hole we were there, he triples the first hole, and he was just out of the tournament.
Exactly.
But-
Yeah. Like
Something like
after
this
be like
doesn't matter.
exactly. If you triple the first hole, you're down one instead
You're
of
down, and then you can win the next 8.
yeah.
Put it out. Wouldn't put it past Tiger to do that.
No, would not.
except for
Also,
a match.
Tiger's I feel like he's so intimidating to play against just because one, he's Tiger, and two, he's just like has like that death stare like everywhere he
Yeah.
goes. I feel like when he plays, and that's just like that's terrifying.
I
See,
mean,
now
you're
the thing is he's been kind of getting away from that. Like obviously when he's like in the tournament, he like gets that death stare, but like he's been a lot more laid back in like these tournaments.
Oh no, he
Like if you
has, yeah.
notice. So I don't know, like I guess we'll talk about potential pairings later, but like Justin Thomas and Tiger pretty much played together the entire week. And like at the first hole, like they like since Tiger is the host of the tournament, they were like going through all of his accolades and stuff. And then like when Justin Thomas got up, it was like, and now at the tee, Justin Thomas. And like no accolades whatsoever.
Yeah,
They had fun with
that was
that. And like
great.
I think Tiger outdrove him on a hole and like stopped at Justin Thomas's ball to like look at it and be like just to tease him that he like outdrove him by like a lot. And Justin Thomas also like hit the ball into like a hazard, and Tiger was like in the like hazard like looking for the ball.
right. So they
That's
like
just-
all week they had
It's, like,
that
not
that
something that
chemistry.
he would do. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
well,
had that
and
chemistry all
he's-
week.
And he's you can tell he's having a lot more fun. He's done that like recent like years, but I feel like of all tournaments, like to go back to normal like old Tiger, it's like the President's Cup and the Ryder Cups are the tournaments that he does that in. So like
And then
a tournament like the Hero World Challenge is not going to be as like serious because like it's his tournament, and he just I think he was kind of trying to warm up more for the President's Cup, but I think he'll be back to more serious Captain Tiger and like I'm gonna kill you, Tiger, pretty much on the course.
Whichever. I wish last week when we were making picks, we like thought about it a little bit more and we're like, oh well, somebody who's not going to be in the President's Cup this week will probably win the event because they're going to be like locked in, where people who are in the President's Cup are more playing it as like a practice round to get ready. That's something that like I'm gonna say that's something that we probably should have thought of ahead when we were thinking picks, because
Yeah,
that's ultimately what happened. It was
and
Rom
Rom
and
came in
Stenson.
second.
It was
Mhm.
Rom and Stenson down the wire, and Stenson won, and neither of them are playing in the Presidents Cup this week. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it also wouldn't have been a hot take to say Rom was going to play well. He was like a pretty heavy favorite, but although he didn't win, but
Yeah,
came second, I think.
he did.
So do we want to move on to our DFS like review and picks?
let's go through pairing predictions first while we're at it, and like explain the course.
True. Okay. So just obviously we went over Tiger Woods and Justin Thomas, how we think they might play together. Trev, you don't think so?
Well, I don't know who Tiger's gonna play with, but I like JT and Ricky to play with each other just because last President's Cup, they went undefeated together in all the partner events,
Right.
and there's like they've been friends obviously for like as long as you can remember. I just think that those two together is just a really good pairing. They really connect well with each other. Tiger can obviously be paired with Justin Thomas too, and maybe Ricky won't play every event because he wasn't even supposed to play originally, but I think because Ricky's in now, Justin Thomas and Ricky are being paired together a decent amount.
I'm also just thinking about this now. Maybe Tiger would go with Gary Woodland. They played together a little bit
They
a couple
did.
weeks ago,
They played
and they
together
played.
at the
They
Zozo.
both played. They both played really well. Gary Woodland like usually plays a lot better when he plays with Tiger for some reason, and they both have similar like shot shapes, which means that like they would be pretty good for like a 4-ball alternate shot type of situation maybe.
I'm trying to think. I feel like you'd rather have two different kind of shot shapes. No?
Potentially.
I think
Not. I mean,
I think it depends on. I think it's not even about like the shot shape. It's just like about like the chemistry of the players playing.
I mean that too, but I feel like if somebody's used to the ball being on the left side of the fairway as opposed to the right side of the fairway, if you have two different like shot shapes, they might not be like used to it.
But
I mean, that's just something to think about, but I don't know. Like I just kind of thought that.
I don't think that matters as much. I feel like it matters more like maybe it's like someone's like Finau who's gonna outdrive everyone, and then someone like Webb Simpson will be better on the greens and better putting than anyone else. Like,
See, that would be an interesting matchup putting Finau and Simpson together, because Finau, obviously like has a really high birdie percentage and he can get it there, but Simpson's probably the best putter on the team right now.
Exactly, yeah.
So
like
putting them
someone
together would be interesting.
And like you and Simpson's maybe more accurate with the driver than Finau, and then if Simpson can get it in the fairway on like a par 5, maybe Finau goes for the green and then Simpson has like a putt at eagle or something like that. I feel like those combinations are more important than like left or right side of the fairway.
I could go through the stats for that pairing. Simpson finished top 20 in strokes gained in every category last year except for off the tee. And Tony Finau's strength. So yeah. So like if you compare those two together, like it would be an interesting thing for like
especially for like alternate shot. I feel like if you pair like someone like with Finau and Simpson, like people who are better at one thing than the other, and then like they kind of like combine, like create like almost like the ideal golfer in that situation.
And then like another thing to think about, like this is just a thing that the captains have to think about, especially for the U.S. side. If you take a player like Bryson DeChambeau, who's a very individual player, I don't think he fits very well in the 4-ball alternate shot situation.
For some alternate shot.
Yeah, because like I'm reading up, they're saying that maybe Xander Schauffele could be a good partner for him because they're both very competitive and would just try to outdo each other on every shot.
Or even like Reed or something like that.
Or even Patrick Reed. But I just think that like you have to be like careful of who you're pairing with who.
I think with DeChambeau, you put someone like who's like kind of like a veteran, like kind of like even like Tiger or something like that, like in
maybe
the
Matt
Cup.
Kuchar. Maybe Matt.
Yeah, Kuchar. Like call him like kind of like make it more like get him more involved in like the team aspect of it instead of just making it like all about him.
I hope I'm wrong about DeChambeau right now, but like I don't see him doing all that well this week. I feel like he just hasn't been playing good golf, and he's still like obviously like he's always been a work in progress because he's always tinkering with his swing. He hasn't been playing very well, and I don't think he played very well at the Ryder's Cup. or at the Ryder Cup last year. So, I mean, I really like DeChambeau, so I hope he does well, but I don't see him being like a huge part of their victory.
Like I said before, like he just needs to be put with somebody who could like
exactly
like a veteran presence. So like I'm thinking like maybe there's 3 guys that you could put him with. You could put him with Webb Simpson. You could put him with Matt Kuchar, and then like as a wild card, you could put him with Xander Schauffele.
I think you put him with Tiger too. Like they played the Ryder Cup together, and I feel like they're just like kind of like buddies at this point.
Yeah, but I don't know. Not sure about
that. If say our Tiger Woods and Justin Thomas thing doesn't come true, and Justin Thomas plays with Ricky, I think Tiger and DeChambeau actually could be an interesting pair because of that reason.
Yeah, there's like
I still like Tiger and Woodland. I don't know why. I just think they have the chemistry.
Mm-hmm. If you were to play in this and you had to pick any partner in the U.S. team for your game, who would you pick?
Ooh. Okay.
Are we talking about 4-ball or like foursomes?
Either one.
Gonna just go with Dustin Johnson as long as he's healthy.
Let's go with the alternate shot because like best ball is like that's just like they're gonna win. Like
they're gonna win every time.
Yeah. So the alternate shot. Who would you want to put with alternate shot? I feel like that'd be interesting. See what you guys think.
This isn't based off of like who I want to play with because obviously
no. It's based off like who like. Well, I guess it kind of is, but like
aside from that,
yeah.
So
like, who would fit your game most too?
None of us are going to be able to drive the ball as far as anybody in the field, but like, I would say that I would need somebody who is a consistent putter and like hits the ball straight. So I would probably go with Webb Simpson, even though he doesn't hit the ball that far, just because like he'll advance it and he'll make putts.
Okay,
that's fair for you.
That's fair, yeah.
And like I hit the ball like decent. It's not like I'm not like don't hit the ball. I just don't hit it as far as like the pros.
Yeah,
but like I hit it decent enough.
You can expect him to hit the ball like straight every single time.
Yeah, and like if I hit it 280, like that's fine. So.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd probably go with. I mean, as long as it's a healthy Dustin Johnson, I'd probably go with Dustin Johnson because you're literally just putting in the distance into my game, which is not the only thing, but one of the one of the larger issues with my game among many.
The biggest hole in your game, probably.
Yeah. So put a Dustin Johnson drive and, get me like 130 in or something. Like, I don't know what it is. Just
was that
driver off the deck.
Shut up. It's
I'd probably
9 and 8.
I'd probably go with I'd probably go with Dustin Johnson too, just because I think that'd be watching him hit the ball as your partner, and like you go up to the ball and you have like so much shorter end than your opponent. Like that'd be so cool. Like that feeling must be amazing if you're playing alternate shot with Dustin Johnson and he hits like a 340-yard bomb and you have like 50 or 80 yards to the green. Like that's amazing.
I'm gonna stick with Webb Simpson. Though,
I don't love that. Like, actually, no, I don't mind the 80-degree range or 80.
Well, I'm saying like he'll hit it like no matter what how long the hole is, like he'll hit it so much farther.
I'm gonna stick with Webb Simpson because I need somebody to just drain like long putts.
Yeah. Well, and because
I know I'm not gonna chip it close. I'm not gonna chip it close like ever. So
yeah,
or like most of the time. So I need him to drain putts for me.
And I'll consider myself like if DJ can hit like to like in between like 10 feet every time, like I feel like I can make like a lot of those putts if I'm playing my best.
I would love playing with Gary Woodland just because I would love to see him just hit stingers the whole time off.
Yes, that'd be so cool too.
Just thinking about Tiger and Woodland together, just imagine all so many stingers.
The one person I wouldn't want to play with is Patrick Reed because then I'd probably get mad at him or something like that, or DeChambeau.
No, the crowd would just get in my head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the crowd would be cheering him, and then they'd be cheering. Yeah, that'd be tough too.
All right, so that was an interesting segment.
That was a little just string of the moment, like par 3 low key. But
I mean, you want to talk about the course a little bit? You haven't really mentioned.
I mean, yeah, it's that Royal Melbourne. Apparently they pronounce it Melbourne over there.
I like Melbourne, but whatever.
I like Melbourne. That sounds.
You're on field trip then.
Melbourne's. Yeah, come on.
Whatever. Go for
it. Melbourne just sounds like It just sounds much cooler.
I like
Whatever.
Royal
Par
Melbourne.
71, par 71, firm and fast courses. I got a Bleacher Report alert today saying that the greens are really, really, really fast and really hard.
I saw a video on that. They're literally bouncing the ball like a basketball on the greens.
So
I feel
that's
like
gonna be
anytime,
very interesting.
Crazy.
anytime you're like a week or like a couple days out of like a big tournament, whether it's like the U.S. Open or it's this, something like that, a video always goes viral. Like
Always.
at Shinnecock, they had like you
The
dropping
fescue.
the
Kevin.
ball into the fescue and it just like disappearing.
All I think of is Kevin Na. Like, I feel like Kevin Na does that every single year at the U.S. Open. Just complains about like he drops the ball in the rough and you can't find it like every single time.
I love going to like the practice rounds. Like of those events, you go to the practice rounds and there's like literally with the caddy where he just takes like 6 balls and just rolls them on the green.
Oh yeah, and like the balls, they feel like they roll forever.
At Shinnecock, I think we were there on Thursday, of the U.S. Open. I like had my AirPods in my pocket and I dropped them like into the fescue, and I have a video of it. They just like disappeared.
There's no chance.
I did that in my backyard too. My backyard fescue. Dropped the golf.
Something tells me it's not as
gone.
difficult as the Shinnecock fescue
No,
in the Catalano backyard.
But yeah, the greens look impossibly hard, and the wind. Apparently, if the wind picks up, it's very, very makes it very, very difficult for the players, and like it could get up to like 20 mile per hour like all week. So I think it'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, obviously control anywhere is a big like factor, but as well I've kind of read that like tee to green is going to be really important, because like Finau, for example, like there's a lot of like rolling hills where you're gonna like where if you hit it far enough you're gonna catch a hill, and like say Finau's matched up with like someone with like a 6 short game and he hits one of those hills, they're in perfect position. Yeah, perfect position for a birdie.
Exactly.
Have we made it clear enough that we like Tony Finau this week?
I don't know. Maybe that's a segue into our picks.
Yeah, preview.
Do we want to go over our from last week first?
I think we should.
We should
So
go over.
So we had Xander Schauffele, who Jeek picked. Let's go as our first pick last week in our lineup. You can talk about that, Jeek.
He finished T10. Honestly, didn't really play that well,
Especially for his salary.
Especially for his salary. He didn't really have a good start. Came back a little bit, but like honestly, wasn't a great pick. I didn't have a great week.
But we did, and Ches Reavie, he came in T30. Yeah,
so my third,
13th.
That was kind of a shot out of the dark. Ches Reavie came 13th, solo 13. He actually played very well in the first round. I think he was like second or third place in the first round.
He was in second behind the 2 leaders, which were
right.
Reed and
so I was like, like maybe this is it. Ches. I also put a bet on him, $10 win 600. Yeah, so he
finished +1 round of 4.
So
Yeah,
that's 2 weeks in a row that me and Trev are just carrying the load of these picks.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm taking shots out of the dark here, you know. I picked the guy with the lowest odds in the tournament.
I had Patrick Reed at top 3, and Trevor had a top 5 with Justin Rose. Low-key, you got a top 10 out of Finau with that 7 under round on the
finished 7 under
really
last day.
The first round too.
Yeah, he finished. He was even going to the last day and finished 7 under T10.
I think he was in solo last after the first round.
No, yeah, I think he was
like 6
4 over,
mm-hmm.
and then the rest of the tournament he shot 11 under. So if he had just like shot a nice 3 under round in the first.
He'd be like top 5 probably.
Yeah, he'd be top 3.
Yeah, that's why I said he finished like second last year, so I figured he won. Well, I also bodes well for him going to the President's Cup. He played well in the last round. Tiger probably took note of that. Hopefully.
And I also had Webb Simpson, who came in 10th with Finau. Overall, it was like a decent showing for us. We've been a lot
small
better.
Field.
It was
this
small.
Is one of the
tough.
I think this is one of the toughest tournaments to pick, just based off of like how small the field is
and how good the field is.
I really wish I thought about the whole President's Cup coming up next week or like the next week, when we were making these picks, because I think I would have went in a different direction.
I mean, we've been so good like the past couple weeks. So
we really try to stay away from picking the guy with the top salary, which sometimes you should, but like we do try to stay away from that. And I think that was John Rahm last week.
Because we are trying to give you guys value over like just obvious top picks.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I don't know. We're getting better at it.
But this week, we're gonna do it a little different than our like just a couple picks that we have. We're gonna, since it's such a weird like DraftKings week with the President's Cup coming, we decided to just fill out one lineup for you guys, and we like collectively put this together. So it's a little different from what we usually do. But do we want to start with our captain?
Well, let's explain the format, because it's actually a different format than there usually is.
The cup picks this week are a little bit different than the traditional like scoring system. So you have one captain who costs more to your team than like a regular player, but it does count as twice the scoring. So you have to take that into play.
So people who've played, I know for sure, like soccer, if you play DraftKings soccer, you have a captain who's twice as much. It's the same idea.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like a FanDuel for football too. You can have like an MVP or something like that. Yeah.
Very confusing to explain, but that part. But holes won is +3 points. Holes have 0.75. Holes lost -0.75. Holes not played is +1.6. So like say you win 5 and 4 or whatever, you get those extra points. You'd be really crushing someone if you were 5 and 4. And then matches won +5, matches have +2, and so on.
And if there's streaks and bonuses too, so like a streak of 3 holes won in a match is +5, and if you don't lose a hole in the match, you get +7.5.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited for this. I think this is actually like a pretty cool setup that DraftKings did with this. Let's get it started with our captain. I'll start us off. We got Justin Thomas. I mean, he's just been like a match play stud the past. Like in last year, he went 3-1. He had the most points, I think, going into Sunday. I feel like he was the obvious pick here.
Right, and he'll go in with a salary of 16.2 or like 16,200.
Yeah.
At least for a captain, for
because just for as a captain, his price will go up, and we kind of like tinkered with the whole captain thing. I think we just think that we should take our most consistent guy and make him the captain, no matter the salary.
And he's probably going to play probably every single match, or maybe it doesn't play one or two, but he's going to probably play the most for the team just because DJ's injured. Tigers captain Patrick Reed's doing what Patrick Reed does best. I just think Justin Thomas is probably the most reliable player for the team right now.
I mean, yeah, because you also have to take into account things like that, where Tiger Woods isn't going to be playing as much, possibly. Like we don't know for sure, obviously.
Nobody knows really.
Those are little things you have to take into account when you're doing a lineup like this. Like not everyone's playing the same amount of golf throughout the week.
Yeah,
exactly. And also, I kind of like forgot to like touch upon this when we were talking about pairings, but because we never really talked about the international side and the international pairings. So I guess I'll go for our next pick is Louis Oosthuizen at 8,800. Just a very consistent golfer, good at match play, good at these events. But you have to take into account pairings with like the European team, because not all of them are from the same place, so they don't all speak the same language or have the same like cultural like ideas. So like I think a lot of the times pairings are people who speak the same language. So like Australians will be paired with other Australians and like so on. So you just have to like think about that.
No, that's definitely something to take into account.
Yeah, and with Oosthuizen, I feel like he's in the President's Cup 2 years ago. He played almost every match, and he won. Like he did very, very, very well in that cup, and won with Brandon Grace. Even though Brandon Grace isn't here this year, he's still. I think Adam Scott's one of the top guys for the international team, but I think Louis Oosthuizen is probably the most reliable. He's a very, very good match play player.
I mean, yeah, he's gone 6-2-2 in this event.
Exactly.
He's a good player.
If anyone's going to get the points for the international team, it's probably going to be Louis Oosthuizen. And he's probably playing a lot of the matches too, which is
And
good.
just the way his game is, he molds well with a lot of other players. So like even if the 4-ball type things, his game molds well with every other player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he's right up there with Tiger. Like his overall record, like in their career for match play is actually like pretty similar. So I feel like that's just like some really good value, even though it costs a little more. But when you're taking into account that he's going to get a lot of the points for the international team, like it's pretty good, pretty solid pick.
Yeah.
Let's go with our next one, Patrick Reed. I mean,
Captain America.
We've kind of been, yeah, he's Captain America. We've been all over the place with Patrick Reed.
Yeah.
Almost as all over the place with Ches Reavie, who surprisingly we have not mentioned.
That's our guy. That is our guy. No, we mentioned him. Finished 13th in my picks last week.
Yeah, but he kind of
still our guy. Still our guy.
He's not as relevant this week to us.
No, not at all.
Unfortunately for us.
So Patrick Reed, this is all based upon that we think he's gonna feed off of all the like criticism he's gotten this week. So should play a lot better.
Beyond just that, he's 6-1-2 in the Ryder Cup, or in the Ryder Cup he was 6-1-2. He hasn't been as strong in the President's Cup, but I feel like it's also small sample size. Mm-hmm. So he's one of the better match play players in the tournament. So.
Yeah, and everyone remembers that Ryder Cup and Hazeltine in 2016 where he basically like he beat Rory in that one match, and
that was one of the more electric matches. Like
that match is one of the best. I've never seen anything like that before.
You can maybe clip this into Instagram, but like Rory McIlroy, like screaming, "I can't hear you" to all the crowd. Like that was just electric.
And then Patrick Reed giving a little finger wag to Rory too as he's walking up to grab his putt. That whole match was electric and unbelievable, and that's a peak Patrick Reed, to be honest. When everyone actually liked him at the same point too.
As we've said, it's just been straight downhill since then.
Maybe another reason
start dating. Could be a direct correlation. I don't know.
You're hating. Don't hate on Patrick Reed this week.
Nope. No Patrick Reed.
Another reason why he's a good pick is his salary, $7,800. That's like right in the middle, very good value. So like I think that's a good pick.
He's probably one of the better match players. Yeah, that's
exactly. He's playing a lot of match play. He's a very good match play player. He's played a lot of these events, so I feel like he's going to be playing a lot of the tournament too. Hopefully.
We also have. Do we want to just go from salary up to down? So we'll go Gary Woodland, just another guy who has been a solid match play player. I feel like that's just been a common theme, but also the value at 6,600.
Yeah, which is one of the lower values or salaries for the U.S. team, which is kind of surprising to be honest, considering
he's coming off.
He played well at the Zozo and.
He played well this weekend too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He played well this weekend.
He finished off not very strong, but I think you can't only take this past tournament into account, considering like it was such a small field, and like whatever he came isn't like a big deal that he didn't like.
I honestly
top 5.
I think Gary Woodland's like a big game player too. Like this year especially, he's morphed into like a big tournament player, and I think like just all the like fanfare and hype around this, I think he's gonna play really well. He does well under pressure. He
reminds me of Tiger in his like demeanor on the course.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's kind of like stone faced and like kind of like wants to kill everyone. Like that's what he reminds me of. I feel like that works as perfectly for match play.
Came in second. He lost in the finals at the WGC match play in like 2015. So
yeah,
he's got the history.
He does. And with that salary, I think he's the one. I think he's the one who'll be in a lot of lineups this week too.
Yeah, with that, it definitely will be a pretty popular pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most important part of like building a lineup this week will be your last 2 picks, which I feel pretty confident in our last 2 picks. We're going with Tony Finau. I feel like we've mentioned a lot of him throughout this episode, and just like why he's actually just great value at 5,400.
Yeah, he's also he's a veteran one. He's been playing in the Ryder Cups. he played in our cup last year. It's kind of scary to play against a guy who's gonna outdrive you by like 30 yards every single time. Like that's kind of scary. And especially you pair it up with like someone else, like maybe like Will Simpson, as we talked about, or who knows who, but like he'll be someone who can like complement him well. Like he'll play really well.
Yeah, he's got obviously with the tee to green, as well as like a really high birdie rate, which is really important in match play, obviously. So just him being that low, obviously he hasn't been playing fantastic late.
Until the last round.
Until this last
mm-hmm.
like couple rounds he's played. He had a 4 under and 7 under to finish it out. So riding with the hot hand as well as like the stats.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a big
and then the last pick. So the last pick we're gonna go with is Abraham Answer, and for 5,000, and he's just been a solid player all year. I think especially him paired up with Neiman, I think they could be a pretty good pairing. That's like kind of under the radar.
I think
for them.
Also I think he could be paired up with like Louis Oosthuizen, something like a veteran guy, like, kind of like to hold him back. But he's very, very good. So.
One of the best ball strikers in the field.
Yeah, exactly. And with Louis Oosthuizen or like Mark Leishman veteran presence could really help him out in the matches.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. So we're putting that into if we can figure out why our DraftKings account is currently down. Putting that into the $8 like 150 or 150K pool contest. Probably one of the better contests out there. Probably do that. Before we move on to the par 3 segment, let's talk about Golficity. Obviously, we mentioned this a lot for good reason.
Can't mention it enough though.
Premium golf picks are only $8 a month. It's a worthwhile thing to hop on if you just like are a DFS degenerate like a lot of people are. So if you want like all the info about the course, all the info about who's going to be a sleeper, obviously they had Henrik Norlander coming top 5 with one of the bottom guys in the field. So
just keep mentioning
check them out.
Still know who that guy is, but they
don't know who he is. Still came in top 5 and they sniped that. So
yeah, Henrik Norlander, if you're out there listening, invite onto the pod.
Does he speak English? We don't know because we don't know who he is.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Open invite.
Yeah.
Get a translator.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a little bit different of a par 3 segment this week.
A little short par 3.
It's like a short par 3. We got like a Pebble Beach 7th hole par 3 segment coming for you. So it's gonna be one hole that we each would want to play on in the world, no matter the difficulty and what we think we would score on that hole. And we're gonna do one hole each. We're not gonna do 9 holes. We're going to go with one hole each, narrow it down to your game, see what you think you could like, or what you think you do good or bad on. Who wants to start?
I guess I'll start. All right, I'm going to go with number 16 at Cypress Point. And for those of you who haven't seen what this hole looks like, pretty much there's a tee box. Then you literally just have the Pacific Ocean, and then there's like a green like right over that. And I think I read, depending on where the tee box is, I read that as a 236-yard par 3. It is a 200-yard carry over the Pacific Ocean, which is crazy. And like there's wind and stuff because Cypress Point. And it's very like scenic looking hole if you like look at it. Now what I would shoot on this hole probably wouldn't be great.
Well, first of all, 236. 236.
236.
What do you take?
What club am I using?
Yeah, what do you? Yeah, take us to the hole.
It depends on the wind, but it really depends on the wind. But I probably would take like a 3 hybrid. I don't have a 3 iron, or maybe I would take a 3 iron, but I'd probably take like a 3 hybrid and see if I could get it there with a 3 hybrid. Maybe a 4 iron, probably not a 4 iron, but like there's not all. It's a very in between distance. It depends on the day, depends on the wind, but let's just say a 3 hybrid. I feel like I'd make it over but I'd like struggle on the green or like around the green. So I'm
People
gonna say
say,
I get
like,
like a
in the wind,
yeah.
it is so hard to putt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially if
I
the
mean,
greens are fast. Like
I just
the
I
wind
struggle
makes a
putting.
difference.
I struggle putting in general. That seems like a very hard hole. I think I would make it over in the first attempt, like I said, but I don't think I would be that close to the hole. And I think I'd probably end up with like a 5 or a 6, probably like a 6.
I don't, and this is assuming you make it over.
This is assuming I
Yeah,
make it over in the
exactly,
first
yeah.
try too.
And I don't know if you remember this, Trev. This is just going back to putting in the wind. First hole at Silver Spring, your country club, Ridgefield, Connecticut, for anyone listening. I was on the green in regulation, like not that far away. Let's call it like 20 feet. And the wind was just like bugging me. And I literally tapped my first putt like 2 feet.
Yeah, so I'll pick the 18th hole at Augusta. Mainly because, I mean, you could pick any hole at Augusta, but that last hole is just iconic. You can see it, like, you see it every single year, and like that narrow fairway you have to hit into. It just looks so tough. And I wonder like how I would play it. I also have to go kind of like down a hill and back up a hill, and then back up a hill toward the green. So it's kind of like this. You can't really see that when you're watching on TV, but like it's just like a very, very tough hole.
So say you have the Tiger Woods chip up to the green that he had this year.
From what, like 20 yards, something like that.
I don't remember I don't remember what yardage it was, but like those circumstances.
Yeah.
Are you blading it?
100%.
I don't even know if I'd make contact with the ball.
No, I'd probably chunk it more than that, like rather than blade it. I just like that's so fucking scary. In those circumstances.
Just watching him, my heart was pounding.
Exactly, yeah.
I was freaking out just watching.
All I had to do was make bogey, and like
yeah,
I'm like okay, like as long as it gets on the green, like I was like, and his heart had to be pounding too. Like he knew exactly what to do though, so. It worked out well for him.
I mean, yeah, he's played that hole so many times in his life. So,
but that's like, and that green, like you've seen, everyone's seen it, but like that green, the amount of like undulation where you have to hit the ball for it to like curl back down toward the hole. If it's like that Sunday pin and like you like put like sideways toward the hole, that looks like so much fun.
Yeah, I'd probably put it off the green and just go right back down to where Tiger was.
I would too, exactly. I would too. But if I had to guess what I would get in the hole, I'd probably seeing how narrow it is, I'd probably hit into the trees, probably blocking the trees right, punch out, maybe hit up toward the green. Yeah, I guess hit up toward the green, and probably 3+. I'd probably make like a 6 or a 7, honestly. That hole looks like the green, the tee shot, like it's a very, very tough hole.
And then for mine, what it was decided was 16 at Royal Portrush. It was a 236-yard par 3. I don't know if yours actually, with the Cypress Point one, was actually 236. If you're getting that confused with mine, are they somehow the same?
They might be. I don't know. It depends on what day.
We basically picked the same hole,
like championship.
Different
Somewhere,
spot.
yeah.
236.
Wait, you're at Pebble.
No, he's at Port Rush, which
Port
where the
Rush.
Open was last year.
Port Rush.
Everybody was just considering. Everybody was it's an uphill par 3, like kind of over some water because you're like kind of on the edge of the cliff, and wind's probably howling there like 24/7. I'd have to just like power a driver up there if the wind's in my face.
You probably lay up.
I would quite possibly lay up. I don't even know.
I don't know why. I don't even know why you chose that hole. Like that does not go to your game whatsoever, and you just decided to choose a really long.
Because I would love the challenge. I feel like I'd end up, if I could lay up. Maybe if I played it safe, I'd like just literally just power punch, like my hybrid up there to like. To lay up
on the green.
It's howling in my face.
Yeah.
Go up and down. I don't know. Probably like a 7.
Up and down for 7.
Yeah, I know. So no matter what, I feel like the conditions of both of what we described, and then Trevor, if we put the like Masters 18th hole pressure on him, we're all not finishing that hole.
No, not well at all.
I'm picking
but, like,
up.
I remember that hole at Port Rush, that hole last year. Like everyone struggled in that hole. Like that par 3 is like 240 yards or whatever, and like they're hitting like I don't even know what they're
Played
hitting.
different every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Different every day, and it played different. Like at the time of the day, it was a completely different hole.
Exactly.
To think that
It's
any of
crazy.
us wouldn't get at least at like the very best a double, to think we would do better than that is just way too confident.
I'll see if I made a bogey on the 18th at Augusta in those circumstances. Even I would, even without those circumstances, I'd be happy with the bogey on the 18th.
No,
I'd be
yeah,
happy I'd be happy with the par in any of those holes at Augusta.
saying you were, first of all, just playing Augusta, but saying you parred a hole at Augusta would be just like, that's bucket list.
Exactly. Even like, especially if it's like 12, 11, 12, 13.
Any of them,
Playing at Augusta's bucket list.
Yeah, playing Augusta.
obviously.
I would gladly shoot in 130 if I get to play there.
Same. Actually, that would not be fun, but
No, honestly, I don't know if I'd take that, because like I'd be super embarrassed. Like I'd be like, I do not belong.
I feel like if I play there and I shot, well, I'm different than you guys, but like, if I shot like a 95, I would be okay with that. But anything over 100 for me, I'd be like, okay, I can't, like, I'd be more upset that I played.
Do you remember what you shot at Bethpage?
88, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like now I might.
There.
I feel like you must have not played well, because I feel like you could definitely do better than that.
No, I don't. I remember not playing that well that day. I feel like I've never played that well on the courses like they're like really highly ranked or something like that.
Just for speaking for me and Pat, I think if we played Bethpage now, like we'd shoot a lot better. I mean, I didn't shoot that bad, I don't think, but
you definitely would.
like we'd play a lot better.
I have a video of my swing on the 18th at Bethpage, and it's a sick scenery, but like, geez, was that 2 years ago? That was like actually, or let's call it like a year and a half now.
A year and a half ago, yeah.
My swing has just transformed since then, and it's not even very good now, but it was so trash then. It was literally just like swoop around and just helicopter it right. It's like such a cut.
If you want to see, if you want to see me and Pat's swings at least, check out our YouTube channel. We had posted a video last week. So.
All right. So yeah, I mean that's about it for this episode. So like definitely check out our YouTube channel at Pin High Podcast. We got a new episode coming up, and soon. I don't know if Trevor will be participating in like the part 3 or what the challenge we came up with last week.
4 club challenge. 3 club challenge.
We're gonna be filming that over break, hopefully, weather permitting, whether there's snow on the ground or not. Also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, join the Facebook group. It's the Pin High Pod on both platforms. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Hopefully the U.S. comes out with a dub this week.